The Gilded Cage. The Seattle rain tapped gently against the floor-to-ceiling windows of Nathan Pierce's corner office. As CFO of Vertex Technologies, he'd earned this view of Elliott Bay, though he rarely took time to appreciate it. This morning was no different as he hunched over spreadsheets, running calculations for the third time. "Mr. Pierce!" Sophia Wang appeared in his doorway, her tablet clutched against her chest. "The board is assembled in conference room A." Nathan nodded, sliding his glasses up the bridge of his nose. "I'll be there momentarily. Did you prepare the revised projections?" "Already uploaded to the presentation," Sophia confirmed. "And your wife called. She mentioned something about an appointment?" A flicker of emotion crossed Nathan's face before disappearing behind his professional mask. "Thank you, Sophia. I'll call her after the meeting." As Sophia left, Nathan opened his desk drawer and gazed at the small black-and-white ultrasound image hidden beneath his notebooks. 12 weeks? Their miracle after 3 years of trying, 2 miscarriages, and countless nights of silent tears. Yet here he was, keeping it locked away like a shameful secret. The timing couldn't be worse. With Vertex pursuing a merger with global tech giant Omnicom, any personal distractions risked derailing years of strategic positioning. Board member Victor Chen was already questioning Nathan's focus, looking for any weakness to exploit. Nathan couldn't give him ammunition now. Across town, Elena Pierce stood before a group of teenagers in the community arts center she'd founded after leaving her career in investigative journalism. Her loose-fitting blouse concealed the small bump that had just begun to show. "Remember, your stories matter," she told the young writers. "Even when they're whispered. Even when no one seems to be listening." Later, as the students filed out, Elena's assistant, Maya, approached. "How are you feeling today?" Elena's hand instinctively moved to her belly. "The morning sickness is finally easing. Though I'm not sure which is more exhausting, growing a human or pretending I'm not." "Still keeping it quiet?" Maya asked, her voice gentle. "Nathan thinks it's for the best," Elena sighed. "This merger is everything he's worked for. He's worried about shareholders getting nervous if they think his attention will be divided." "And what do you think?" Elena turned to the window, watching raindrops race down the glass. "I think I'm tired of living our joy in whispers." That evening, Nathan returned home to find Elena asleep on the couch, a book about pregnancy resting on her chest. He gently removed it, placing it inside the credenza where visitors wouldn't notice it. The gesture felt symbolic of their entire relationship lately. Genuine care hidden away, emotions neatly compartmentalized. Elena stirred. "You're home," she murmured. "How was the board meeting?" "Tense," Nathan admitted, loosening his tie. "Victor's questioning our market valuation estimates. He thinks we're overvaluing ourselves for the merger." "Are you?" Nathan smiled slightly. Elena's journalist instincts never faded. "No, but perception matters as much as facts in these negotiations." "Like how we're handling this pregnancy?" Elena asked softly. Nathan sat beside her, taking her hand. "It's just for a little while longer. Once the merger is secured, we can tell the world. And if it falls through, do we keep hiding then too?" Nathan had no answer. Instead, he placed a gentle kiss on her forehead, his hand briefly touching her growing belly before retreating. "I have some calls to make. Have you eaten?" Elena watched him retreat to his home office, the distance between them measured not in footsteps, but in unspoken truths. She picked up her phone and texted Sophia. "Any chance you can get him out of the office for lunch tomorrow? I need to see him." In his home office, Nathan stared at financial projections but saw only Elena's disappointed eyes. His phone buzzed with a text from Victor Chen. "Need to discuss your commitment to this merger." "Breakfast tomorrow?" Nathan typed yes, while glancing at the calendar reminder for Elena's doctor's appointment, scheduled for the exact same time. Paper walls. The morning light filtered through the blinds as Elena stood before the bathroom mirror, her hands cradling the gentle curve of her belly. 16 weeks now, and the secret was becoming harder to physically conceal. She slipped into a loose-fitting dress, adding a structured blazer that helped disguise her changing shape. Her phone chimed with a message from Nathan. "Can't make appointment. Emergency meeting with Victor. Sophia will accompany you." Elena's chest tightened. Another milestone he would miss. Another memory they wouldn't share. She typed and deleted 3 responses before simply sending, "Understood." At Vertex Technologies, Nathan sat across from Victor Chen, whose calculating eyes seemed to miss nothing. Victor was old-school tech money, brilliant, ruthless, and perpetually suspicious. "You seem distracted lately, Pierce," Victor said, stirring his black coffee. "The board is concerned." "The merger preparations are demanding," Nathan replied evenly. "But my focus is unwavering." Victor leaned forward. "Is it?" "Because Omnicom's representatives are questioning your long-term commitment. Rumors suggest you might have personal developments on the horizon." Nathan's pulse quickened. "What rumors?" "Nothing specific. Just whispers." Victor's smile didn't reach his eyes. "You know how crucial this merger is for everyone involved. Personal distractions could be problematic." Across town, Elena sat in the waiting room of Seattle Women's Clinic with Sophia beside her, flipping nervously through a parenting magazine. "Thank you for coming," Elena said softly. "I know you're busy." Sophia shook her head. "It's not a problem. Nathan would be here if he could." "Would he?" Elena wondered aloud. "Sometimes I think he's building a wall between his professional life and our family." Sophia hesitated before speaking. "He's under tremendous pressure. Victor has been relentless lately, questioning everything from financial projections to Nathan's personal commitment." "Does Victor know about the pregnancy?" "No," Sophia assured her. "Nathan's been extremely careful. He even had me reschedule meetings that conflicted with your appointments and list them under different projects." Elena sighed. "We're having a baby, not committing a crime." The technician called Elena's name, and Sophia gave her hand a supportive squeeze. Inside the examination room, Elena watched the monitor as their baby appeared on screen, heart fluttering like a hummingbird's wings. "Would you like to know the gender?" the technician asked. Elena hesitated. This was supposed to be their moment, hers and Nathan's. But he had chosen spreadsheets over sonograms, projections over their baby's heartbeat. "Yes," she decided firmly. "Yes, I would." Back at Vertex, Nathan was walking Victor through financial models when Sophia returned. She caught Nathan's eye, giving him a subtle nod that told him everything had gone well. What she couldn't convey was the hurt in Elena's eyes when she'd learned they were having a daughter, information Nathan should have been there to receive. That evening, Nathan returned home earlier than usual, carrying takeout from Elena's favorite Vietnamese restaurant. He found her in the nursery, a room he'd barely entered since they'd designated it as such. "How was the appointment?" he asked, lingering in the doorway, as if afraid to fully enter this new space in their lives. Elena turned from the window where she'd been measuring for curtains. "We're having a daughter, Nathan." "You would know that if you'd been there." The words stung more than Nathan expected. "Elena, you know why I couldn't—" "I know what you've told me," she interrupted. "That it's just temporary. That after the merger we can be a normal family. But what if this is who we've become? What if these walls between our lives aren't temporary at all?" Nathan stepped into the room, placing the takeout bags on an empty bookshelf. "The board is watching me closely. Victor especially. He mentioned rumors today about personal developments." Elena's eyes widened. "He knows?" "I don't think so, not specifically. But he's suspicious." Nathan ran a hand through his hair. "If they think I'm not 100% committed to this merger, then what?" Elena challenged. "The world ends? The company collapses? Or maybe, just maybe, they realize you're a human being with a life outside that office?" Nathan had no answer. Instead, he gestured to the food. "I brought dinner. Your favorite." Elena's shoulders slumped. "I'm not hungry." That night, they slept on opposite sides of their king-sized bed, separated by inches that felt like miles. Nathan stared at the ceiling, thinking of quarterly projections and Victor's veiled threats, while Elena curled around her growing belly, whispering silent promises to their daughter that somehow they would fix this broken family before she arrived. The accidental broadcast. The quarterly investors meeting at Vertex Technologies was the kind of corporate theater Nathan Pierce excelled at orchestrating. The conference room buzzed with anticipation as board members and key shareholders filed in, Victor Chen among them, his expression inscrutable as always. Nathan stood at the head of the gleaming table, presentation materials perfectly arranged. This meeting would be crucial for the Omnicom merger. Representatives from the global tech giant were present, evaluating not just Vertex's numbers, but its leadership. "Shall we begin?" Nathan suggested, his voice steady despite the pressure. 20 minutes into his presentation, Nathan was hitting his stride, confidently walking the room through projected growth metrics when Sophia slipped in through the side door. Her worried expression immediately set off alarms in Nathan's mind. "Mr. Pierce," she whispered urgently. "Elena is here. She's not feeling well." Nathan faltered mid-sentence. "Here? Now?" Sophia nodded. "In your office. She says it's important." "Is everything okay with the—" Nathan caught himself before saying baby, conscious of the room full of attentive ears. "She just needs to see you," Sophia replied, her voice low. "She said she tried calling, but—" "I silenced my phone for the meeting," Nathan realized. "Tell her I'll be there as soon as possible." Sophia nodded and slipped out. Nathan resumed his presentation, but his rhythm was broken, his thoughts now divided between stock projections and his wife's unexpected arrival. Meanwhile, Elena sat in Nathan's office, one hand pressed against her lower back where a dull ache had been building all morning. The doctor had assured her everything was normal, but the discomfort had intensified during her community arts budget meeting, and something in her gut told her to find Nathan. Sophia returned with a glass of water. "He's in the middle of the presentation, but he'll come as soon as he can." Elena nodded gratefully. "I'm sorry to interrupt. I just couldn't reach him, and I—" She winced as another wave of discomfort passed through her. "Should I call a doctor?" Sophia asked, alarmed. "No, I think I just need to rest." Elena tried to stand but swayed slightly. Sophia quickly moved to help her to the couch. "Let me get you something for the pain," Sophia offered. "There's a first aid kit in the staff room." As Sophia hurried out, she bumped into Marcus Jenkins, the IT director, who was rushing to fix the conference room's audio-visual system. "Everything okay?" he asked, noting her worried expression. "Elena Pierce is here. She's not feeling well," Sophia explained hurriedly. "I'm getting her some pain relievers." "Nathan's wife?" Marcus looked concerned. "Isn't she pregnant?" Sophia froze. "How did you—" "Office gossip," Marcus admitted. "Nothing specific, just whispers." In the conference room, Nathan was fielding questions about Vertex's market position when the doors burst open and Marcus entered, heading straight for the AV control panel. "Apologies for the interruption," Marcus said, fiddling with the system. "We're experiencing some technical difficulties." Nathan nodded, continuing his answer, when suddenly the room's speakers crackled to life. But instead of the presentation audio, a conversation from his office filled the room. "Just breathe deeply," came Sophia's voice. "The doctor said some discomfort is normal at 18 weeks. "I know," Elena's voice replied. "I just panicked when I couldn't reach Nathan. This pregnancy has been so difficult, and with everything we went through before—" The room fell silent as every head turned toward Nathan. Victor Chen's eyes narrowed to slits, while the Omnicom representatives exchanged surprised glances. Marcus frantically worked the controls, cutting the audio feed. "I am so sorry," he stammered. "The system must have defaulted to the office monitoring channel when I reset it." But the damage was done. Nathan stood frozen, his carefully constructed walls between personal and professional crumbling in an instant. Through the glass conference room walls, he could see staff members in the open office area whispering, the news already spreading like wildfire. Without a word, Nathan set down his presentation remote and strode out of the room, ignoring Victor's sharp call of his name. He moved through the office like a man in a trance, acutely aware of the eyes following him. When he reached his office, he found Elena sitting on his couch, her face pale with both pain and mortification, as Sophia explained what had happened. "Nathan, I'm so sorry," Elena began. "I never meant to—" But Nathan surprised both women by kneeling before his wife, taking her hands in his. "Are you all right? Is the baby okay?" "I think so," Elena whispered. "Just some back pain." "But Nathan, everyone knows now." Nathan took a deep breath. the weight of 18 weeks of secrecy suddenly lifting from his shoulders. "Yes," he said simply. "Everyone knows." Behind them, through the office windows, they could see staff gathering, some smiling, others looking shocked. And at the front of the group stood Victor Chen, his expression unreadable as he watched the scene unfold. Falling together, the news spread through Vertex Technologies with the speed and force of a digital wildfire. By noon, everyone from the janitorial staff to the board members knew that CFO Nathan Pierce's wife was 18 weeks pregnant. What had been whispers became open conversation. Speculation turned to congratulations, and Nathan's carefully constructed professional facade began to crack. In his office, Elena sat with her hands wrapped around a mug of chamomile tea that Sophia had prepared. The back pain had subsided, but the emotional storm was just beginning. "I should go," Elena said quietly. "I've disrupted everything." Nathan, who had been pacing by the windows, stopped abruptly. "No. No more running, no more hiding." He sat beside her, their shoulders touching for the first time in what felt like months. "I've been a fool, Elena." A soft knock interrupted them. Victor Chen stood in the doorway, his usual imperious demeanor slightly subdued. "The investors are waiting, Nathan. We need to finish the presentation." Nathan's jaw tightened. "I'm with my wife right now, Victor." "Your pregnant wife," Victor clarified, the words hanging in the air between them. "A fact you deliberately concealed from the board." "My personal life is not board business," Nathan countered. "It is when it affects Vertex's future." Victor's voice was cool but not unkind. "The Omnicom representatives are confused by your secrecy. They're questioning your transparency on other matters." Elena started to rise. "I should leave you to—" "No," Nathan said firmly, placing his hand over hers. "We face this together." He looked at Victor. "Tell the investors I'll be back in 15 minutes. And Victor, when I return, I'll be introducing them to my wife, who is carrying our daughter. If that's a problem for anyone in that room, they're welcome to reconsider their investment." Victor's eyebrows rose slightly, but he nodded before leaving them alone. Elena turned to Nathan, her eyes questioning. "What are you doing?" "What I should have done months ago." Nathan took her hands. "I've been so afraid of seeming vulnerable that I turned our greatest joy into something shameful. I'm done with that." 15 minutes later, Nathan walked back into the conference room with Elena beside him. The room fell silent as they entered. Nathan guided Elena to a chair before taking his place at the head of the table. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice steady, "before we continue, I'd like to introduce you to my wife, Elena Pierce. As you inadvertently discovered, we're expecting our first child in 4 months." He looked directly at the Omnicom representatives. "I made a mistake in keeping this private. I feared it would make me appear distracted or uncommitted to this merger. But in doing so, I violated one of the core values this company was founded on: authenticity." The room remained silent as Nathan continued. "I am fully committed to making this merger successful, but I'm also committed to being a father and a husband. If those dual commitments concern any of you, now is the time to speak up." After a moment, Diana Reeves, the lead representative from Omnicom, leaned forward. "Mr. Pierce, Omnicom doesn't need executives who sacrifice their families for quarterly numbers. We need balanced leaders with full lives who understand what matters. Congratulations to you and your wife." Relief washed over Nathan's face as scattered applause broke out. From his seat, Victor Chen gave Nathan an almost imperceptible nod. Not quite approval, but acknowledgement. The presentation resumed, but something had fundamentally shifted. Nathan spoke with new conviction, and when he discussed future projections, he did so with the confidence of a man who now had more than numbers to fight for. That evening, as they drove home together, the first time they'd shared a commute in months, Elena broke their comfortable silence. "What changed your mind today?" Nathan considered the question carefully. "When I heard your voice over those speakers, talking about our baby, about your fears, I suddenly saw everything clearly. I've been living divided, as if my life with you and my work were opposing forces." He reached for her hand. "But they're not. They're both parts of who I am." Elena squeezed his fingers. "I was afraid we were losing each other." "Never," Nathan promised. I got lost for a while, but I'm finding my way back. At home, they sat on their patio as sunset painted the Seattle skyline in gold and purple. For the first time in months, Nathan placed his hand on Elena's belly without hesitation, his palm warming as he felt the flutter of their daughter's movements. "She's strong," he whispered. New horizons. The Seattle autumn had painted the city in rich golds and deep crimsons by the time Vertex Technologies announced its successful merger with Omnicom. The press conference, held in the company's expansive lobby, attracted business journalists from across the country. Nathan Pierce stood at the podium, his posture relaxed yet confident, a notable change from his former rigid demeanor. "Today marks not just a business milestone, but a philosophical one," he told the assembled crowd. "This merger represents our commitment to balancing ambition with humanity, progress with purpose." From her seat in the front row, Elena watched her husband with pride, one hand resting on her now prominent belly. At 32 weeks, there was no hiding their impending parenthood, nor any desire to. Beside her sat Sophia, who had become not just Nathan's trusted assistant, but a friend to them both. "He's different now," Sophia whispered. "Everyone's noticed." Elena nodded. "He's whole." After the formalities concluded and the photographers had captured the obligatory handshakes, Nathan made his way to Elena's side, placing his hand protectively at the small of her back. "Congratulations, Mr. CFO," she said, reaching up to straighten his tie. "Soon to be chief family officer as well," he replied with a smile that reached his eyes, something that had once been rare but was becoming wonderfully common. The following week brought another milestone as Nathan stood before the Vertex Omnicom board, presenting his proposal for the company's first comprehensive parental leave policy. Victor Chen, now co-chairman of the expanded board, watched with a measured expression as Nathan outlined the benefits. "This isn't just about employee satisfaction," Nathan explained. "It's about creating a corporate culture that values whole human beings. Our research shows companies with robust family support policies outperform their competitors in retention, productivity, and innovation." When he finished, there was a moment of silence before Diana Reeves spoke up. "I believe Mr. Pierce has demonstrated his point rather effectively through personal example. His department's productivity has increased 15% since he began working more reasonable hours and, as he puts it, leading authentically." The policy passed unanimously. That evening, Nathan arrived home earlier than Elena expected, carrying a small gift bag and wearing an expression she couldn't quite read. "Everything okay?" she asked, setting aside the community arts program proposal she'd been reviewing. Nathan sat beside her on their sectional couch, taking her hand. "Better than okay. The parental leave policy passed, and I've made a decision." He handed her the gift bag. "Open it." Inside, Elena found a beautifully crafted wooden box. Opening it, she discovered a compass, its face etched with their initials and the words, "True North." "It's beautiful," she said, "but I don't understand." Nathan took a deep breath. "I'm stepping back from daily operations after our daughter arrives. Not permanently, just for 3 months. The board approved my temporary leadership restructuring plan today." Elena's eyes widened. "Nathan, your work will still be there," he finished. "But these first months with our daughter won't come again." He touched the compass gently. "I lost my way for a while, focusing on the wrong horizon. This is my promise that I won't make that mistake again." 2 weeks before Elena's due date, they attended the annual Vertex holiday party together. The event, once a stiffly formal affair, had been reimagined under the new corporate culture. Employees brought partners and children, creating a warmth that transformed the corporate space. As they moved through the crowd, accepting congratulations and well wishes, Elena noticed Victor Chen watching them from across the room. She excused herself from a conversation and made her way to him. "Mr. Chen," she greeted him. "I believe we've never been properly introduced?" Victor nodded politely. "Mrs. Pierce, you've been quite the catalyst for change around here." "Not intentionally," she admitted. "But sometimes accidents reveal truths we need to face." Victor considered this, swirling his sparkling water thoughtfully. "I was wrong about your husband," he said finally. "I thought his personal life would distract him from his responsibilities. Instead, it's made him a more effective leader." "Balance isn't distraction," Elena replied. "It's clarity." When Nathan joined them moments later, he was surprised to find his wife and Victor engaged in animated conversation about the community arts program Elena ran. "We could use that kind of creative thinking in our corporate outreach," Victor was saying. "Perhaps after your maternity leave, you might consider consulting with us." Later, as they slow danced in the center of the room, Elena's belly creating just enough distance between them to make Nathan smile, he whispered in her ear, "Victor Chen offering you a consulting position. I never thought I'd see the day." "People surprise you when you give them the chance," Elena replied, her hand warm against the nape of his neck. As midnight approached and Elena's energy began to wane, they said their goodbyes. Walking toward the elevator, Nathan's arms secure around her waist. Elena paused to look back at the party, at the company that had once seemed like Nathan's mistress, but now felt increasingly like an extension of their family. "Ready to go home?" Nathan asked softly. Elena nodded, leaning into his embrace as the elevator doors opened. "Home," she agreed, "where our real work is just beginning." 3 weeks later, in the gentle light of a winter dawn, their daughter Aria Grace Pierce arrived into a world where her parents' love for each other had grown stronger through brokenness and repair. Nathan held his newborn daughter with hands that no longer trembled with the fear of vulnerability, but remained steady with the strength that comes from loving without reservation. As they brought Aria home to the nursery Nathan had helped design, Elena watched her husband gently place their daughter in her crib, his eyes filled with wonder and purpose. "Welcome home, little one," he whispered. "Your mother and I have been waiting for you, learning how to love better just for you." And in that moment, all the paper walls they had constructed fell away completely, leaving only the truth they had finally embraced. That love, honestly given and received, creates not weakness but the greatest strength of all.